Welcome back to Tarot by the Bay. I'm David. I'm struggling trying to find topics to read on. Nothing's really compelling me in the news. I realize that we have big hurricanes coming down in Florida. When I've tried to do natural disaster readings, hurricane readings in the past, wasn't really getting a good vibe for it. And so I'm kind of loath to try again on that one. What am I going to say? It's going to be bad, People will die, a lot of property destruction. I suppose I could do a spiritual, what's the impact of the hurricane on people's mindsets in Florida. Maybe I'll do that. I was going to do a reading on Melania Trump, but nobody cares, do they? Just like your jacket. Okay, so we'll switch streams on this one. I will do a hurricane reading after that whole intro. I should probably just start this intro again and sound much more confident. But this is how it works with me sometimes. This hurricane is going to hit Florida. And, Florida just seems to be one of those places that really, really embraces their conspiracy theories and global warming and climate change. And here, this thing is going to go in there and just absolutely blast the living bejesus out of that state. And these are people that can't get insurance because of previous hurricanes going through there and flooding, and the insurance companies are just abandoning it. They don't want any part of this. And now here comes another one. Is this going to be what it takes for Florida to go blue? You watch the Republicans just trashing FEMA's response in North Carolina, and I'm sure they will do the same for Florida. But this might be that instance where people are actually appreciative that the government comes in to help out as best they can, despite the rhetoric that will come out of the right, saying how, even before the hurricane happens, I'm sure they're already saying how FEMA's totally screwed this up. Okay, so let's take a look. Florida with the hurricanes, what's going to be that current situation with them? Entertainment purposes only. It's going to focus in on money, how the money comes in. If people with money are caring about Florida and the rebuilding with there. In some ways, here's the water coming in. This could be the couple that's, don the skiff with their son and their wife and their son as they get out of their home in that's under 6 feet of water. So this is kind of FEMA and the rescue efforts that come in after the storm is done. How, in some ways, how the government takes charge. I'll be curious to see DeSantis's reaction to all this. I'll maybe throw him separately here. In the past, you got the Eight of Wands. I guess the thing with hurricanes is, they're coming a few to several days before they get there. So you have the opportunity to evacuate the area, you and everybody else, in all the traffic jams, but you have the opportunity to get out and get away from it. Some people won't. They'll just write it out. But the information's there. FEMA's already in North Carolina, I believe it is, through the devastation there, and it continues. Current situation is the Page of Cups. Misinformation that's going through. Who's gonna be there for you, and who's gonna be there for you after the tragedy hits? Who's gonna help bail out the water from the cities? Look at all these cup cards, all this water here. The overarching energy is the Knight of Cups. I do think, and this is also conspiracy. I always have this card as conspiracy theories. The conspiracy theories coming through, but it's also recognizing who are your friends and who are the false friends. Who are the people lying to you? Who are the people telling you the truth? Who's going to come? Got the Emperor underneath it, and then the lesson to be learned is the Empress. Who is actually taking care of people, providing them with the food, shelter, and clothing that they need after a natural disaster such as this? The outcome is the Eight of Swords. You're victims in this, to be sure, but you're willing victims. You can evacuate if you need to. Florida may be your home, and if you choose to stay, you choose to stay. Every place in the country has natural disasters they have to deal with. This is what you're choosing as your poison. But, the vibe I kind of get for this is don't blame others for the choices that you make. The world is not a risk-free place. Everything comes with risks. There are some people say, I would never want to live in California. You have earthquakes. And I get that. Earthquakes don't come with any warning. They really don't. They just happen. And a lot of the structures out in California, certainly the newer ones, they're built to codes to withstand earthquakes. Now, mind you, if it's a big earthquake and long-lasting, the codes only go so far. The codes are going to be like, this magnitude for this duration type of thing. So maybe it's like, the codes, I'm making this up. I don't know what the codes are, but it's like maybe it's supposed to withstand a magnitude 8 earthquake for 1 minute. But if you have a magnitude 8 earthquake that lasts for 2 minutes, then you're going to have some building collapses because they weren't designed to last for 2 minutes. Now, maybe that doesn't mean they can't. It means they weren't designed for that. Earthquakes are pretty much, they're over within a minute. And then you just look around going, holy crap, what the hell just happened? That's for the big ones. Hurricanes, they're coming. You have a lot of advanced time. You can, board up your windows. You can fill sandbags and build a little wall around your house to protect it. You can evacuate inland. But apparently, like with that last one that hit Helene, going inland didn't help much. Did it? And that's part of the thing with climate change, is that the hurricanes are going to get stronger and stronger to the point where they might have to redefine what a category hurricane is or increase the categories so that people have an idea. Hurricane category 5 is as big as they get. Maybe they have to go to a 6 or a 7 so people really understand the severity of what's coming in on them, because it'll probably go that route. Okay. Challenge. I'm going to do a little challenge reading here for the hurricane. I think it's Milton that's now going through there. After Milton heads through there, what's going to be the challenge for the federal government on the left and Ron DeSantis and the state government on the right? Because I can only imagine. I have a hard time picturing DeSantis doing anything but other than trashing the Biden administration because it's an election year. Less than a month. Come on down. Hurricane Milton coming through Florida. What's going to be the challenge? It's the Wheel of Fortune. It's not going to be the only one. But also, political fortunes are tied to this. Yeah, and this is going to be about the misinformation, the disingenuous behavior of those, starting with Marjorie Taylor Greene saying the Democrats control the weather and stuff like that. Just ludicrous stuff that you have to put up with. Note the major arcanas here. This is and honestly, I think this is a turning point, a shifting point with this. Now, for the federal government, the Joe Biden, the Democrats, what do we have? It's the Eight of Swords. You're limited in what you can do. This is not supposed to be a political issue. Biden's not running for re-election. All you're cared about are the victims of the hurricane, and you have to focus on this and try not to be political. You can't really use it for political gain because that's not the job of the government. You got the Hangman, looking at things differently, trying to fix things. It is literally like trying to fight a war with one hand tied behind your back. The Page of Swords, and the World card. Now, what do the Democrats, what does the Biden administration have to come up with? Again, they're about helping the victims, getting the message out that they're there to help, fighting the misinformation, and just trying to bring closure, bring their lives back to normality. for the victims, again, it's kind of like, you choose to stay, you choose to live here. We can do what we can, but at the end of the day, this is what it is. We got the Wheel of Fortune spinning here, and this is the conclusion to the Wheel of Fortune. Notice all the animals line up. Ron DeSantis, fighting. Winning the fight. Maybe this is public relations. Hopefully he works with the federal government to get aid out to the people there. But, not liking what they're getting. Worried about things happening again. Knight of Swords. This misinformation. I think for DeSantis, what he has to be careful about is, you don't want to bite the hand that feeds you. You certainly don't want to take Marjorie Taylor Greene's perspective of, the Democrats control the weather. Because people don't want to hear it. What they want is relief. They're the victims here. They don't want to be political footballs. And maybe that's the biggest struggle that DeSantis is going to have to come against, is that they're not here for the excuses. They're not here for the emotional drama. They want people to come in and help them. They are victims. They want the help. They don't want the rhetoric. So in some ways, the real challenge with this for the Democrats is to focus on the victims, and for DeSantis is not to campaign on it. Now, mind you, DeSantis isn't running for re-election, but DeSantis there are other Republicans in there, and it is an election year, and the Republicans would like very much to take Congress and the presidency back. And if they get the presidency, I really don't know how much longer we have a democracy. Probably J.D. Vance would try to 25th Amendment Trump out of the office as soon as possible, if not sooner. Give him a presidential pardon and send him off somewhere where he doesn't have to face state charges ever again, that kind of thing. Don't know if Trump would go for that. Not when he could be king and get his retribution. But I'm digressing here. So, again, Democrats, challenge, help the victims. Do everything you can to help the victims and let them know that you're helping them. Republicans, try not to turn this into a political football. People don't want to hear it. They just want the help. When you're waiting there to get federal, clean drinking water and food for your family, you don't want to hear the governor saying how the Biden administration and the Democrats are at fault for all this. Man, all you want is dry clothing, food, and water. Your basic needs, and some place to shelter. That's what you want. You want to know that somebody's going to be there to help you. At that point, you're not caring about pointing blame. You just survived a freaking hurricane. You know what I mean? Okay, spiritual lesson with these hurricanes. A month before the election. What's the spiritual meaning of these hurricanes? 1 month before the election. People have choices to make. It literally is that. You've got your choice to make. What government do you want? You got the 8 of Cups, the 10 of Coins, and the 6 of Cups, with the 8 of Coins underneath. A government that works for you, one that's trying to get jobs out there, trying to keep the economy going. Basic values, basic human values here is underneath it all. People, in some ways, they say it's the economy stupid. People just want to work. They want to work. They want to get paid. They want to enjoy their life. They want a government that works for them. One that's going to have a good economy so that, the grandparents, the parents, and the kids all have a future together. Asking about this hurricane here. This is, people pay taxes and everybody's a citizen. They need that help sometimes. They don't want to feel abandoned. They want to feel appreciated. So they're going to look, so in some ways what's going to happen with Florida is people will make a choice based on who stepped up to help them when they were in their times of need. Who was doing the hard work. Who's abandoning them versus who's appreciating them. A lot of emotions in here. It's going to be a very emotional election in Florida. You got the dogs in this card here. They're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. And you have a big Haitian population in Florida that's been insulted with it. I don't know how close this election is going to be. My intellectual side says it just can't picture any type of scenario that makes it close, especially when you look at how everything has unfolded over the last 2 to 3 months, and how everything that could go wrong for Donald Trump and the Republicans has gone wrong, and all the things that could be going right for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are going right. And all the things that Harris represents. Again, when Donald Trump in the debate, he had a bad debate performance, and then he's talking about people eating dogs and cats. You're alienating an entire population of Haitians, not only in Ohio, but then you've got a group, a huge group that can vote in Florida, and attacking immigrants, and just stuff that goes on and on and on. It's like women having their reproductive rights taken away. And I can't even list all the gaps now. There's been so many that none of them stand out anymore. There's too many to pick from. But it's like, how much, 0.5% there, 0.1% there, 1% here. It should just all be going in Harris's on Harris's side of the ledger. It just makes it seem like this shouldn't be that close to an election, even with the cheating and the voter suppression acts that we've been seeing from certain states that are controlled by Republicans. It just feels like it should be a landslide victory for Harris. And if it's not, what does that say about us as a collective? That you have all these things in her favor, and if she just squeaks by with a victory, what does that say about us as a collective? We'll see what happens. We only have a month to go. Thank you very much for watching this video and supporting my channel. I appreciate it. I hope you find these readings insightful. They are for entertainment purposes only, and I'll catch you on the next video. Take care.